Hi Mimi. Hi Bob. Hi Eric. Hi whoever else is around. Probably Janice. Hi Janice. So, this is my cool idea for problem-based learning in a math class. I'm not going to put too much time into it because it's just a prototype video. It's not the real thing. It's just a fake thing. And I think it's a really cool idea, so I wanted to share it with you. So, first of all, what you should be saying is, Dee Dee, why would you know anything about problem-based learning in a math class? You got D's in high school in math. We checked your transcripts. And you would be right. I could not argue that. That's the truth. So, basically, I've been doing this project for a long time, working on our attic remodeling project. And I've had to use math all the time. Geometry, algebra, financial math, statistics, all kinds of stuff to do this project. And at the same time I'm working on the project, I'm also working on making these case studies for something I do know about clinical psychology, and making these really real, complex, difficult, real-world projects to be an online component for my case study book. And all of a sudden it occurred to me that the project that I was working on in our house was a great problem-based math opportunity, even though I don't know anything about math. I know more than I used to know because of this project. So, here's my plan. My plan is that you would have something like this, an introduction, a person would introduce themselves, and they would explain the project. They would also have a budget. Now let me tell you why this is important. Because the budget part of the project is not just about math, but it's about free passes, okay? So you have X number of dollars to spend on the project, but you can buy out of doing a certain project or whatever else, and say, I'm going to just pay to have that done. I'm not going to figure out that project. It's too frustrating. I'm not going to figure out that math problem. I can't figure that out. It's too hard. I'm going to buy out that thing and use some more money to buy that out. What that allows is students to have some control over the whole project. It allows them to feel like, okay, I was too busy this week, or I couldn't get this math problem or whatever else, and so I bought out that thing. But we do it in the framework of having a budget for the project, and that they can buy out so many, dollars or whatever. So if you want to buy this out, it costs X number of dollars. So that brings in, again, a realistic kind of a real use of math every day. But what I would do is there would be this series of short podcasts that would show the project to a person, and that accompanying the podcast, the little videos, would be paper, you know what I mean, that all the figures that you talked about would all be written down, so that people wouldn't have to be writing down numbers and stuff based on the podcast. That's not really the point. But I'm not going to create those little paper sheets. I'm just going to kind of show you what I mean today, and then hopefully you'll think, that's kind of cool. Maybe you'll think that's kind of dumb. I don't know. Okay, so let's start with the project, okay? Here we go. So we are remodeling our attic, and I decided that it would be fun to do all our work ourselves. So I have learned to use a planer to plane down old barn siding. I've learned to use a miter saw. I've learned to use a nail gun. I've learned to use a caulk gun. I've learned to use a cordless drill. I've learned to use a cordless screwdriver. I'm still terrible about that. And I've learned to use math all the time, because there's had to be a lot of math involved in doing this project. To start with, I had to think about these 17-foot boards. 17-foot, 3-inch boards. They are the original rafters to the attic. Would they be able to fit into our house? Oh, Easter time. Okay, this ceiling in our house, we live in an old farmhouse, right? And the ceiling at this point, these are tall ceilings, right? This is a 10-foot ceiling. That's great. But if you go upstairs, what you're going to find is that our ceilings aren't that tall. The ceilings in this part of the house are only about 7 feet 5 inches. Can we get those boards up the staircase? How would we know? Okay, so that would be an example of a math project. Now we go up our newly built stairs. They're going to be, the attic. All the supplies. Dun, dun, dun. So let's start taking a look at some of the projects that we're doing, okay? And how many of these projects involve math? Because most of them do. So, we put this round window in, right? We added this window. But we first had to figure out, how do we measure the distance in this triangle to make sure that the window ends up in exactly the right spot. How would we figure out the area of that triangle to make sure that the window is perfectly centered both ways? Okay, that's an example of our math. But we also have to do things like this. Oh, this is a cool bathroom. Let me show you this. Oh, look how close it is to being done. Oh, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. Okay, so I learned to tile too. And so I had 229 tiles left over from a kitchen project that we did. And I wanted to cover this surface. And this surface is 12 inches wide and it's 37 inches long. How many tiles would it take to cover those if I laid no more than 1/4 of an inch between the space? Would I have enough tiles to cover it or not? This is actually a real project that I really did, because I had to figure out I had some broken tiles, and if I was going to use, I knew I was going to need mostly all the tiles, but I wanted to make sure if I was going to need the broken ones too, I had about 27 broken ones, that I would want to incorporate them throughout the whole thing and not just put 27 broken ones at the end. So I couldn't just lay down the tiles, I had to figure it out before I went. Okay, so there's an example of the tiles. Now, there's other examples too. Oh, check this out, by the way. Do you see this? This is not a math project. This was just a fun project. So do you see this chimney, this old chimney? You want to know what's cool about this chimney? This chimney, this old chimney, I actually painted it to make it look old. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, okay, I'm just bragging now. Okay, so here's another example of a math project. We're building in these beds, right? Okay, because we have an old roof in this attic. Our attic's kind of two attics in one. And so we're building in beds, right, all along this old roof. And so kids are going to have these awesome beds, but look at this. To build in this bed, how would the bed fit? Would there be enough headspace for the person? If a person needs 35 inches of headspace to be able to feel comfortable, would a 37-inch mattress by 72-inch mattress fit in this hole and allow enough headspace? Where would it rest in terms of the wall, and how would we know? Do you see where I'm going with this? So now we're building the new bed. Same kind of questions, right? But we've had other challenges too. Let's say I'll show you our best barn siding spot. These barn siding, this wood is cut at a 55-degree angle. What's the best way to cut that wood at a 55-degree angle to make sure that it fits in that spot? So, meow, she's famous in all the videos, Tiger. But there's also a variety of other math problems that are a part of this thing. So, for example, some of the other stuff we've done, we have to figure out a lot of stuff with elapsed time. Do you remember elapsed time? Way back when you learned it in terms of your, SATs and stuff. So if I'm tiling that thing I showed you, and it takes me 7 minutes per row of tiling, and I have to get my kids to soccer practice at 5:30, because I have to be there at 5:30, which means I have to leave at 5:15. Will I have enough time to finish the last 9 rows if it's 4:30 right now, if it takes me an average of 7 minutes a row? Do you see, again, we can use elapsed time as one of our things for math, for one of the ways to teach math. So anyway, I think what's cool is, in this project, I feel like there's lots of ways to be able to teach math in a really fun way that gives people invested in the task, that introduces them to people on a project. Whether you focus on statistics or financial math or geometry or just basic math, you can do this. It's really fun. So, that's all I have to say about that. I thought it was a cool idea. If it's dumb, it's okay. It's dumb. I have dumb ideas sometimes. You can just tell me. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye. But, by the way, isn't our attic going to be so cool? Da, da, da. You want to see something really awesome? Okay, 2 things and then I'll shut up. Now I'm just bragging again. See that little hole in the wood? You might not see it. This is our Nerf gun hole so that kids can shoot out Nerf gun bullets and ambush another person. And back behind over here, you can't see it yet, we're going to have a secret hiding space that only the kids know about. That's going to be a secret tunnel to get to that bed that has even a trapdoor on it. Isn't it awesome to think like a kid? Okay, bye.